As you know, for over 130 years, this organization has never solicited for funds, and it is certainly not going to start now. We don't send out monthly statements to each of Jehovah's Witnesses specifying a dollar amount that should be submitted to finance the work worldwide. Most donations, in fact, are contributed anonymously. Over the years, I have told various Bible students that a person could attend our meetings for 20 years and never put a penny in the contribution box, and we would not know it. Jehovah, of course, would know it, but we would not, because the donations are anonymous, but from the heart. We don't know who gives what. But for a certainty, any donations received do not line anyone's pockets and are not misappropriated. They are all used in supporting theocratic endeavors worldwide. As described in Matthew 24:45 through 47, the governing body prayerfully and sincerely endeavors to be not only the faithful slave, but also the discreet slave in wisely managing the master's resources. And please, dear brothers and sisters, pray for Jehovah to help us to be successful in being not only faithful, but also discreet. But often a member of the governing body will be heard to say, in spending Jehovah's money, we have to be more careful than we are in spending our own money. And that is truly how we feel about the matter. Yet, as you can well imagine, millions of dollars are required each month to finance the colossal kingdom work that is being supported by this organization in some 239 lands. Where does all of the financial support come from? Largely from you, dear brothers and sisters. Most funds come from what you voluntarily put in the contribution box in your kingdom hall. Yes, that little box with a slot that is labeled worldwide work is primarily what finances all of the theocratic initiatives that have been implemented. Of course, there are many other ways to contribute, as explained usually in the November issue of the Watchtower each year. Sometimes we may feel a little shy to talk about the financial needs of the organization. That is understandable, because we in no way want to be categorized with other organizations, religious and otherwise, that coerce their supporters to donate. However, because all of us have the privilege to donate funds, we would like to let you know something about our current situation. Then you can respond as your heart impels you. As you might have sensed, I am not shy about this subject. And why not? It is because we have many scriptural examples of Jehovah's faithful servants making known the financial needs of the congregation. Only when supporters of the kingdom know the needs can they respond accordingly. For example, turn with me, please, to Exodus chapter 35. Now think about this as you're turning there. The Israelites were in Sinai. They were marching through a wilderness. They did not have fields or businesses with money flowing in. They just had what they had brought with them when leaving Egypt. Nevertheless, Jehovah instructed them to build a place of worship. Was Jehovah shy about letting the people know about the material needs? Well, read with me Exodus 35, verses 4 and 5. Moses then said to the entire assembly of the Israelites, "This is what Jehovah has commanded." That wasn't Moses' command. This is what Jehovah has commanded. Take up a contribution for Jehovah from among yourselves. Let everyone with a willing heart bring a contribution for Jehovah: gold, silver, copper. You see, the people would not have known this need if Jehovah had not informed them. Very interesting, is it not? The governing body very much feels the urgency of accomplishing as much as we possibly can in behalf of kingdom interest, knowing that the great day of Jehovah is near. So in an effort to keep you informed of the support that is needed for this great work, I have the following information to share. We have looked forward to this next fiscal year and projected the expenditures for all of the theocratic initiatives we are scheduling. In doing the math, we found that the amount of money flowing out will be much greater than the amount of money that we have coming in at this time. Well, why is that? Does this represent a lack of appreciation for spiritual things? No, absolutely not. To the contrary, we are witnessing unprecedented enthusiasm among the brotherhood for all the spiritual bounty that is coming our way. We have up-to-date Bibles and an abundance of printed literature. And there's so much appreciation for the new and continually improving jw.org website. From around the world, we receive letters thanking the governing body for JW broadcasting. Many comment that it has brought us closer together as a people. And as mentioned, starting this month, JW broadcasting is available in multiple languages. We are thrilled about this development. There is also excitement about public witnessing using literature carts, and with such great success. No, the financial circumstance has nothing to do with a lack of spirituality or appreciation. However, there are some facts that we want to make you aware of. For one thing, the financial needs in the field have accelerated at a pace unlike any time in the recent past. A recent analysis of the need for kingdom halls here in the United States showed that some 1,600 new kingdom halls or major renovations are needed, not sometime in the future, but right now. And worldwide, we are in need of more than 14,000 places of worship, not including ongoing future growth. In the past 15 years, 30,000 kingdom halls have been built. Now, if you figure that up, that averages about 2,000 kingdom halls every year. But in an effort to relieve the serious backlog more quickly, we intend, Jehovah willing, to complete 3,000 Kingdom Hall projects every year going forward. Now, that's a 50% increase. Additionally, adjustments are being made to simplify the Kingdom Hall design in order to accelerate the construction schedule and to save funds. Though the design will be simplified, the sheer number of Kingdom Halls requires considerably more funds in the budget than in times past. Additionally, please think about this. Today, how many publishing companies print publications in the many languages that Jehovah's organization does? The answer? None. And why is that? It is because they cannot make a financial profit. We, however, are accelerating our method of translating publications into indigenous languages. This involves building or purchasing regional translation offices, or RTOs. These will be strategically located in the part of a country with the highest concentration of native speakers of the language. Providing these structures in various regions of a country reduces the need for costly construction expansion at the local branch office. But in the next 2 years, however, upwards, now think about this, 170 of such facilities, RTOs, are needed. Depending on the country and the cost of materials, an RTO can cost from about $1 million to several $1 million each. Hence, we have another reason we need to increase our finances. We just felt that you, dear brothers and sisters, needed to be made aware of these expenditures that we're facing in the coming months and years. We also have heard from circuit overseers and others that some of the brothers and sisters may have a misconception about some of the recent policy changes that have been instituted. For example, all congregations that had a Kingdom Hall or Assembly Hall loan to pay off were informed that their mortgages were canceled. Now, if you think about it, that is amazing, isn't it? All their loans were canceled. Can you imagine a bank telling homeowners that all their loans were canceled and that they should merely send in to the bank each month whatever they can afford? Only in Jehovah's organization could such a thing happen. However, according to some of our circuit overseers, some of us took this to mean that the organization had a surplus of funds and thus took this action, as if the loans did not need to be reimbursed. Could this misconception have affected the amount that some have chosen to donate each month? In actuality, the mortgages were canceled so as not to be a hardship on some congregations and circuits. The policy was founded on the scriptural principle stated in 2 Corinthians chapter 8. Please turn there with me. In an effort to help fellow Christians who were facing financial hardship in the first century, an arrangement had been put in place to accept contributions from others to help offset the deficiency. About a year later, Paul is again writing to the Corinthians about this policy of contributing to offset the financial needs of others. Now, please read with me 2 Corinthians chapter 8, and we're going to read verses 10 through 15. Here, the Apostle Paul, under inspiration, said this, verse 10, "And in this I give my opinion. This is for your benefit, seeing that already a year ago you not only initiated the action, that is, of contributing, but also showed your desire to do it. So now also complete what you started to do, so that your readiness to act or contribute may be completed according to, now notice, the means you have available. For if the readiness is there first, it is especially acceptable according to what a person has, not according to what a person does not have. For I do not want to make it easy for others, but difficult for you, but that by means of an equalizing, your surplus at the present time might offset their need, so that their surplus might also offset your deficiency, that there may be an equalizing. Just as it is written, the person with much did not have too much, and the person with little did not have too little. So that was the scriptural basis for canceling all loan repayments. It was not because the organization had a large surplus of funds and thus could, quote, afford to cancel these mortgages. As explained at the time, it was to equalize the reimbursement of such expenditures over the entire brotherhood. Some businessmen in the secular world might think this was a disastrous policy change. However, we know the spirit of Jehovah's faithful servants. We all feel privileged to be able to help the growing brotherhood to have comfortable places to meet and praise Jehovah. Think about this comparison. Back in 1990, when the decision was made to distribute our literature free of charge, some within the organization and many outside the organization thought this would be financial suicide. However, you, dear brothers and sisters, have proved those predictions completely wrong. Jesus said at Matthew 11:19, all the same, wisdom is proved righteous by its works. Our individual voluntary donations have combined to take care of the costs associated with producing our literature. And we're confident that the same will prove true regarding the decision to cancel all Kingdom Hall and Assembly Hall loans. So instead of conveying the message that the organization needed less in the way of donations, the intent was really just the opposite. But we have confidence that our hearts will be moved to contribute what we can each month to offset the necessary expense of building new meeting places for our brothers worldwide. Another misimpression that has been brought to our attention is that the sale of property in New York City means that fewer donations are needed. To help put things in proper perspective, however, selling one of the significant properties in New York really only covered the operating expenses for the worldwide work for a few weeks. Now, that's one significant property. And in actuality, the sale of property in New York City is basically only financing the construction of world headquarters in Warwick and the purchase of other properties that are needed to facilitate the move from Brooklyn in the future. But on top of that, as mentioned, we are planning on accelerating the building of Kingdom Halls and remote translation offices in coming years. It is our desire, Jehovah willing, to hold to the accelerated schedule for these projects, if at all possible, rather than having to scale back such progress because of a lack of available funds. Again, we are not in any way desirous of creating a hardship on anyone. However, we felt that if you knew the circumstances accurately, you would apply Proverbs 3:27 to the situation. There, we are encouraged not to withhold what is good, But then the scripture adds, if it is within our power to help. And I might mention that this is true even of publishers in less affluent countries. It is encouraging to note that even in lands with limited resources, the very poor contribute to the cost of their kingdom hall and its maintenance. We're all Jehovah's United people, even if we do not have much materially. If our heart is willing, there is usually something we can do, even if it is merely offering 2 small coins of very little value, as the poor widow did. And how did Jesus feel about her for doing this? He highly praised her in Mark 12:42 through 44. And if we think about it, a small donation from each of many of Jehovah's people adds up to a large amount of dedicated funds that can be used powerfully by Jehovah's organization.